Welcome to a deep dive into the world of Tata Consultancy Services,
Yeah.
or TCS, as you'll hear us call them. We've got their Q3 earnings call transcript, and we're going to unpack what it really tells us about their performance. And frankly, the state of the global economy. You might be surprised by what we find when we look beyond the headlines.
Absolutely. Think of this as a behind-the-scenes pass to the boardroom. We're going to translate the corporate jargon, connect the dots, and reveal the strategic maneuvering happening at TCS as they navigate a rather uncertain economic landscape.
Okay. So first, let's set the scene for you. What kind of economic backdrop are we dealing with here?
Well, TCS is cautiously optimistic,
Yeah.
but they're definitely not ignoring the challenges. They're still dealing with geopolitical issues, simmering trade wars,
Yeah.
and those uneven growth forecasts around the world. It's like they're trying to walk a tightrope, really.
So with all that going on, how did TCS actually perform this quarter? Let's get into those numbers.
They posted a 4.5% year-on-year revenue growth, which might not sound like a lot, but for a company as massive as TCS, that translates to billions of dollars in actual growth. To give you a sense of scale, we're talking about a company with over 600,000 employees worldwide.
Wow, okay,
Right.
that's huge. But what about their profitability? Did they manage to keep those margins healthy?
Yes, actually. Their operating margin came in at 24.5%, and their net margin at 19.4%. Now, you might be wondering what those numbers actually mean. Operating margin essentially tells you how much profit they're making from their core operations, before accounting for things like taxes and interest, and net margin is the bottom line, the pure profit, after all expenses are paid. So in both cases, TCS is doing pretty well.
Okay, those are some pretty solid numbers, especially given the economic headwinds they're facing. But there's a bit of a twist in this story, isn't there? This whole BSNL situation sounds like it could be a game changer. What's the impact?
Of that contract ending. Yes. The BSNL saga. It's a major plot point on this earnings call. BSNL, a big telecom company in India, was a major client for TCS, and their contract for 4G infrastructure is coming to an end. This leaves TCS with a revenue gap of about $2.1 billion to fill. That's almost 2.5% of their total revenue gone.
Wow. $2.1 billion. That's not just a gap, it's a chasm. They must be scrambling to replace that business.
Well, they certainly project confidence, and the numbers seem to back it up. They announced a whopping $10.2 billion in total contract value, or TVV for the quarter. That's a record for them, especially considering there were no mega deals this quarter. By mega deal, I mean those billion-dollar-plus contracts that they could really move the needle for a company like TCS.
So wait, they hit a record TCV without any of those massive contracts. That's pretty impressive. How did they manage to pull that off?
It seems they're securing a lot more, smaller deals, and perhaps even more interesting is the fact that the deal cycle is actually shrinking. This means companies are making decisions faster, which could be a sign that confidence is returning to the market.
That's interesting. A faster deal cycle definitely suggests less hesitation on the part of their clients. And speaking of trends, one thing that jumps out from this transcript is the focus on artificial intelligence. I mean, AI is practically everywhere in this call.
It really is. And they're not just talking about AI in some vague, futuristic sense. They're giving concrete examples of how they're using it to solve real problems for their clients.
Okay, I love examples. Give us a taste of what TCS is doing with AI.
Well, one example they highlight is their work with a major American electronics retailer. They developed an AI-powered platform for their contact center.
Yeah.
Which can understand what a customer is actually asking, even if they use open-ended questions. You know how frustrating those automated systems can be.
Tell me about it. Nothing like getting stuck in a chatbot loop
Yeah.
when you just want to talk to a real person.
Exactly. But in this case, the AI is actually making things better. They're reporting a 90% success rate in identifying customer intent, a 3% improvement in user containment, which basically means fewer calls are getting escalated to human agents, and overall a much smoother customer experience.
So AI is stepping in to handle those more routine queries, which frees up human agents to focus on the complex issues. That's a pretty smart strategy. What's the other example they mentioned?
This one is mind-blowing. They partnered with a global life sciences company to use something called generative AI to design small molecules for cancer drug discovery. Think of it like ChatGPT, but for molecules.
Wait, so AI is designing potential cancer drugs now? That seems straight out of science fiction.
Yeah, it's incredible. They essentially fed the AI the structures of the target protein, and it churned out 1,300 potential molecules. After some filtering, they narrowed it down to 12 promising candidates for further testing.
Wow. That must save a ton of time compared to traditional drug discovery methods. Okay, so TCS is clearly all in on AI. But what about their clients in general? Are they seeing an increase in spending? Or are companies still hesitant to open their wallets?
That's a great question, and one that gets to the heart of whether this apparent recovery is real or just a blip. TCS leadership hinted at early signs of a revival in what they call discretionary spending, especially in the financial and retail sectors.
So companies are willing to invest in things they don't absolutely need, which is a good sign, right? Does that connect back to those shorter deal cycles we were talking about earlier?
It could very well be a sign of increasing confidence, that combined with a record-breaking TCV definitely points to a positive trend. But here's where things get really interesting. We need to dig a little deeper to understand what's really going on.
All right, I'm all ears. What else is this earnings call revealing about TCS and the broader tech landscape?
What's fascinating here is that TCS is emphasizing their focus on helping clients with cost optimization and business transformation. This tells me that even with those glimmers of hope in discretionary spending, companies are still feeling the pressure to, do more with less, to become more agile and resilient in the face of uncertainty.
That makes sense. Efficiency is always important, but it becomes even more critical when you're not sure what the future holds. So how is TCS responding to this need for efficiency and transformation? Are they just saying the right words, or are they actually walking the walk?
They're definitely backing it up with action. Remember those AI examples we talked about? Those are prime examples of how TCS is using cutting-edge technology to deliver real business value and help their clients streamline operations, improve customer experiences, and ultimately become more efficient.
So it's not just about providing tech solutions anymore. It's about being a true partner and helping clients navigate those challenges strategically.
Exactly. And this shift from mega deals to a higher volume of smaller deals that we discussed earlier, that also plays into this theme of agility and efficiency. Instead of those massive, complex, multi-year projects, we're seeing a move towards smaller, more focused initiatives with quicker turnaround times.
Which makes perfect sense. In this environment, you wouldn't want to get locked into a huge project when the ground is constantly shifting beneath you.
Yeah.
So smaller projects, faster decisions, a focus on efficiency and transformation, these are all pointing towards a cautious optimism in the tech sector, wouldn't you say?
It certainly seems that way. But you're right to point out the cautious part. The question on everyone's mind is, how sustainable, I ask this, apparent revival in spending? Is this the start of a genuine upswing, or are we just seeing a temporary bump before the next downturn?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? What are your thoughts? Is this just a blip, or is the real momentum building here?
I think it's too early to say, for sure. Well, there are positive signs, like those shorter deal cycles and the strong TCV numbers. We need to see if this momentum continues. A lot depends on factors outside of TCS's control, like inflation, those unresolved trade wars, and the overall global economic climate.
So there's a sense of proceed with caution, hanging in the air. Companies are willing to invest, but they're not throwing caution to the wind just yet.
Precisely. And that's where TCS's strategic positioning becomes really crucial. They're not just riding the wave, they're actively shaping it. They're investing heavily in areas like AI and cloud computing, which are at the forefront of this transformation. And they're demonstrating their ability to partner with clients and guide them through these uncertain times.
Okay, so we've talked about the numbers, the economic headwinds, the opportunities, the challenges. But one thing we haven't really touched on is the human element. TCS has a massive workforce spread across the globe. What does this earnings call tell us about how they're managing their people in this rapidly changing landscape?
That's an excellent point. And it's something TCS addresses directly in the call. They highlight their focus on employee development and their commitment to upskilling their workforce to prepare for the future.
That sounds promising, but they also mentioned a decline in headcount. What's the story there? Is this a cause for concern, or is it just part of their strategy?
It's not necessarily a red flag. They attribute it partly to seasonality. Q3 often sees a dip in hiring across many industries, and partly to ongoing optimization efforts. They assured investors that this isn't a sign of panic or a lack of confidence in their future
prospects.
Okay, so no need to hit the alarm button just yet, but a decline in headcount, even if it's explained by seasonality and optimization, could still raise eyebrows, right? Is there anything else in the call that supports their claim that this isn't a sign of trouble?
Yes, absolutely. They emphasize that their campus hiring program is still on track. And they're actually planning to onboard a larger number of graduates next year. So they're still investing in their workforce, even during a time of economic uncertainty. That definitely suggests a belief in their long-term growth potential.
Exactly. They also highlighted their dedication to employee training and development, stating that employees have logged over 40 million learning hours and acquired 3.8 million new competencies.
Wow, those are impressive numbers. It sounds like they're serious.
About equipping their employees with the skills they need to not just survive, but thrive in this increasingly AI-driven world.
You got it. And it's not just about technical skills. It's also about fostering adaptability, problem-solving abilities, and a culture of continuous learning and growth. They're essentially preparing their workforce for a future where AI is not just a tool, but a fundamental part of how work gets done. So as you can see, this earnings call gives us a really interesting glimpse into how a global tech giant like TCS is navigating a complex and evolving landscape. We've covered a lot of ground, from the financial performance and the economic context to the challenges, the opportunities, and even the human element. What stands out to you as the most important takeaway from this deep dive?
For me, it's how TCS is positioning itself as a leader in leveraging AI, not just as a buzzword, but as a practical solution to real-world problems. They're demonstrating that AI isn't just about replacing jobs, it's about augmenting human capabilities and driving real business value. It really makes you think about the potential for AI to transform other industries as well.
It's incredibly exciting to see these technologies being applied in such innovative ways. And it's a reminder that, even in the face of uncertainty and challenges, there's always opportunity for those who are willing to adapt and embrace the future. It really does make you think about all the possibilities. And, as we've been talking about TCS's performance and their strategies, we've been piecing together a broader picture of the tech landscape as a whole. What does TCS's story tell us about the state of the industry and where things might be headed?
That's a great question. And I think it highlights the value of deep dives like this. By going beyond the surface level headlines, we can glean insights that might not be obvious at first glance. TCS's story, with its emphasis on AI, agility, and client partnerships, seems to be indicative of a broader trend in the tech industry. We're seeing a move away from purely technical solutions toward a more holistic approach, where technology is integrated with business strategy and customer experience.
So it's not just about building the coolest gadgets or writing the most elegant code anymore. It's about understanding the bigger picture and how technology can be used to solve real-world problems and create tangible value.
Exactly. And TCS's focus on upskilling their workforce and preparing them for an AI-driven future is another important takeaway. This is something we're seeing across the tech industry, a recognition that the skills needed to succeed are rapidly evolving.
Right. It's not just about technical skills anymore. It's about adaptability, problem solving, critical thinking, and the ability to learn and grow continuously. Those are the skills that will set people apart in the years to come, regardless of their specific role or industry.
Absolutely. And I think TCS's example demonstrates that companies are investing in their people and recognizing the importance of having a workforce that can adapt and thrive in this rapidly changing environment.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you'd want our listener to walk away with? What's the most important insight or idea that they should keep in mind as they think about TCS, the tech industry, and even their own careers?
For me, the key takeaway is that the tech world is in a constant state of flux, and the only way to stay ahead of the curve is to be adaptable, embrace innovation, and never stop learning. Whether you're a seasoned tech professional or just starting out, the ability to learn and evolve is paramount. TCS is clearly embracing this philosophy, and it's something we can all learn from.
That's a great point, and I think this deep dive into TCS's earnings call has given us a fantastic illustration of these principles in action. We've seen how they're navigating challenges, seizing opportunities, and positioning themselves for success in a rapidly changing world.
Exactly, and it's a reminder that even amidst uncertainty and complexity, there's always something to be learned, and there's always a path forward for those who are willing to adapt and evolve.
Well, that's a perfect note to end on. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating journey into the world of TCS and the broader tech landscape. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, keep diving deep.